Hello and welcome to the pilot episode of my 2025 Dungeoncrawler Game Jam coverage. This pilot episode will serve as an introduction to all of the over 70 games I will cover in this series, and it will explain some basics to understand what is actually going on in these videos, and without the need to go through the full explanation over 70 times. So, which questions will I cover here? As we are talking about a Dungeoncrawler Game Jam, I will first answer the question of what is actually considered to be a dungeon crawler in this context. Next, I will explain what a game jam is in general, and I will give an overview of the rules of this game jam specifically. Then I will briefly talk about my involvement in all of that, and lastly I will talk about what to expect in this video series. What is a dungeon crawler? A dungeon crawler, by the definition of Dungeoncrawlers.org, which is hosting the jam, is an RPG which does not just have a first-person perspective, but also adheres to a grid, where every step equals one tile in the grid, and every turn is by 90 degrees. Popular dungeon crawlers are the Wizardry series and the Dungeon Master games. Contrary to what the name implicates, a dungeon crawler does not need to be set in a dungeon. Like Hired Guns, for example. So, while the older Might and Magic titles are considered to be dungeon crawlers, Might and Magic 6 to 9 are not, as you can freely move around. While there are also other requirements, like having some kind of combat, these can be broadly summarized as just being an RPG. What is a game jam? A game jam is an event where participants need to create a game within a limited time frame. Some jams are in a physical location, for example at a university. Some are online. The rules vastly differ from jam to jam. Sometimes you can prepare some stuff, sometimes you need to start from scratch. Oftentimes there is also a theme which needs to be incorporated and which is only revealed at the launch of the jam. That way it's harder to just reuse stuff you already made before. The focus of a game jam is to learn something new, but also to toy around with ideas to see how well they play out, as you usually are guaranteed to at least get a couple of people playing your game. Of course, networking is another important focus. While game jams can have prizes as a reward, they are usually more of a symbolic nature, so that also the incentive for cheating is somewhat limited. Specific rules for this game jam. This is an online-only game jam hosted by Dungeoncrawlers.org, which is a page and community centered around dungeon crawlers, and so naturally one of the requirements in this jam is that the game needs to be a dungeon crawler. Participants had 9 days from the 11th to the 20th of April to create a dungeon crawler and to send it in on itch.io. Developers were allowed to prepare beforehand, like preparing an engine, and could also reuse old code. But the game itself had to be a new one. While a lot of this is down to the honor system, violations, like just sending in a game made previously, would have led to a disqualification, which did also happen. The jam also had 2 additional restrictions, which were only revealed shortly before the jam started, to help assuring the game was created during the time frame. The first restriction was that the game had to have a chicken of some form. Could just be part of the story or some graphics. Lots of developers made this a major part of the game, which was fun to see, but not required.
May 47 I cracked a case wide open.
The second restriction was to implement one of 4 themes. Genre fusion, basically fusing the dungeon crawler aspects with a different genre. Heist, planning a heist, stay undetected or similar concepts in that direction. Sinking ship, escaping a sinking ship or spaceship before it's too late. Or treasure hunting, trying to collect hidden secrets. Besides of that, there were not many restrictions. While there is a whole list of restrictions, they are mostly common sense if you understand what a dungeon crawler is. There was also no restriction in the use of engine or AI as long as it stays legal. Also, the games created needed to be available for everyone to download for free. Which is also why you can just visit the itch.io page linked in the video description and can check all the entries yourself as well. For some games you can, however, also leave a donation for the developers. After the 9-day period during which developers worked on their games, there was a 3-week rating period, giving enough time to the contributors to play, comment and rate lots of these games. The creators of the top 3 rated games then received $100, $50 and $25 as cash prizes respectively, plus game keys and some physical goodies. On top of that, the organizer Sopadan also gave some additional awards for games which excelled in specific aspects, some of them receiving some physical goodies as well, like mousepads. These special awards were not specified before though. While the games have all been ranked and awarded, this will not have much of an impact to my playthroughs, which will follow on this channel. My involvement in the jam. While I am a moderator of Dungeoncrawlers.org and have been talking to the organizer regarding rules and restrictions, I did neither participate in the jam as contributor nor did I rate any games, which I actually couldn't as I didn't send in any own game. And I also had no influence in the special awards given by the organizer. What to expect? I will try to cover all of the 71 submissions and ideally also play through each of them. But I can't guarantee that, as it depends on length of the game, difficulty and also whether it's possible at all due to glitches and bugs. For each game I will talk about what I think about the perspective, controls and also other bits and pieces catching my attention. While I also want to showcase these games, one of the main intentions of these videos is also to give feedback to the developers. And that is important to consider when watching my coverage, as I don't just want to do a promotion tour saying how amazing every game is. My focus is to share honest feedback and impressions, and most of the videos are also very raw and uncut. So in case you feel bored seeing me stumbling around for a while, then feel free to skip the rest, jumping to the next game in that playlist. Also be aware that this is my own private opinion and it does not reflect Dungeoncrawlers.org as a whole. At the time of recording this pilot episode, I already recorded myself playing through about half of all the games, meaning I played and assessed them independently of their final rankings. For the future, I also plan to do a best of showcase, which will then be a very different format, only briefly showing each game for a minute or so. So if you're interested in that, you can also check out my other channel, Kordanor's Gaming Lair, which I use for videos which are more scripted and have higher production values. Also thanks a lot if you decide to subscribe to one or both of the channels or are already subscribed. Lastly, if you want to support Dungeoncrawlers.org, you can do so via Ko-Fi on the Dungeoncrawlers.org website. That money goes to the host of the page and organizer of the jam, Sopadan, and will be used accordingly for hosting the site and also for prizes for future jams. And that is all for this pilot episode. If you still have open questions, drop a comment and I will try to answer them as well. Thanks to all the developers participating in the jam and to all the players interested in the content, being it by checking out the games directly on itch.io or by watching coverage by me or others. Have fun and keep crawling!